I thought I would do an update to my top 10 heavyweight rankings since it's been almost a year since I did it previously, and we've had some big exciting fights and some important fights that have just happened over the last 6 months that have changed the rankings quite a bit. So, as you need to listen to this. I don't take belts into consideration or people's perception of how good a fighter actually is. The only thing I take into consideration is wins, and this ranking system is only based on wins, and it's not who I think is the best or who I think others think is the best. It's just dependent on their resume. So, number 10, I have Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's best win so far is Derrick Chisora, who was just outside the top 10 at the time. It was the most exciting fight last year, but of course I've only based it on him beating Derrick Chisora, even though he's got quite a good record so far. His only defeat coming by the way of Anthony Joshua, and he gave Anthony Joshua his second best fight of his career so far. So Dillian Whyte is number 10. We're finding so far he doesn't have the power we once thought he did when he came up against Anthony Joshua. He's showing better stamina these days, he's showing a bit better skill, he's trying to box a bit better, still has a lot of flaws. I don't ever see him being a world champion at all, but I think he can hang around in the top 10 of the division. That's where I actually see Dillian Whyte as long term. A good, solid top 10 fighter that can put on a lot of entertaining fights. A bit like Derrick Chisora, but I think maybe in the future a slightly improved version of Derrick Chisora with a bit more power behind his punches and a bit bigger and stronger as well. So number 9, I have Christian Hammer. A lot of people maybe forget about him, but he beat Erkan Teper, I think it was just the start of last year or the end of last year, and Erkan Teper was a top 10 heavyweight for a short period of time before he got busted for taking drugs before the David Price fight. Christian Hammer has also beat David Price as well, so I've put him in at number 9. He has beat a top 10 fighter. The rest of them that I'm going to list in this have all beat top 10 fighters. Number 8, Kubrat Pulev. Kubrat Pulev has been a bit lazy recently, fighting people like Samuel Peter and what was the last one? Kevin Johnson, who were good fighters for their time, but he previously to that he beat Alexander Dmitrenko when he was still a top 10 fighter, Tony Thompson when he was still a top 10 fighter. He's fought Alexander Ustinov, who's not really been a top 20 fighter, but he's been decent. More wins for his big size. But Kubrat Pulev, I think he's got the best jab in the heavyweight division right now, even a bit better than Wladimir Klitschko. When they both fought each other, Wladimir Klitschko had to be a little bit more creative in the fight because he couldn't out-jab Pulev. Pulev's a bit better, and everyone thinks he's got quite good reflexes, quite good skill. I rate him a lot higher than a lot of people do, so he was number 8. Number 7, I have Joseph Parker, who has a WBA belt, of course. His best wins are Andy Ruiz, who is in Ring Magazine's top 10 right now. In BoxRec, I don't even think he's in the top 20 though. But it was a good, tough fight, beat Andy Ruiz, and I was more impressed actually with his defeat of Carlos Takam, who was a solid top 10 fighter for quite a while. It was a good, tough fight. Kubrat Pulev has very good stamina, a lot of heart. Hopefully we find out soon if he's got a good chin as well. Puts punches together very well, very fast, probably the fastest heavyweight in the division right now. Number 7, we have Number 6, sorry, we have Luis Ortiz. Beat Tony Thompson, who was once a top 10 fighter, not anymore, not even when he beat him. But more impressively, Jennings, who was actually, I think, his highest ranking was a 3rd or 4th in the division at his very peak. Jennings, comes to fight, obviously believes in himself a lot. has only fought, his last 2 fights have been Luis Ortiz and Wladimir Klitschko. Sorry. And yeah, I was very impressed with Luis Ortiz against Bryant Jennings. First person to stop him as well, so that's why Luis Ortiz is number 6. Number 5, we got Deontay Wilder. I kind of actually underrated Deontay Wilder a bit in my last top 10 because I thought Stavern's highest ranking was only 5 at the time, but I think it could have been 3rd or 4th in the division when he beat him. Deontay Wilder showed that he's a better boxer than everyone thought against Stavern. Since then, he's fought the likes of Duhaupas, Eric Molina, which was definitely not a very impressive performance at all, or win. But Spielka, who did look quite good in their performance, I think he was about a top 20 fighter. Washington, who was just inside the top 20, I think he was 20th when he fought him. Arreola was not a very good win either because Arreola had been banned for a while for smoking cannabis. He wasn't actually ranked by a WBC at the time, and I think he was just inside the top 50 at BoxRec when he fought him. But Deontay Wilder does have that Stavern win. Deontay Wilder's strengths is he's got a lot of power, obviously. He is quite athletic. He's not very... His boxing skills definitely not the best. I wouldn't even see his defensive skills the best. His defensive skills actually his size and his height. But he's got a lot of power, he's got a lot of stamina, he's a great finisher, and I think they might eventually pay off later on, but we'll see. I don't think he actually has the skill to be a top guy in the division. Alexander Povetkin I've got as number 4. Povetkin, very highly skilled, very underrated boxer. Just like I said before in so many videos, he was a 4-time gold medalist in the Olympics. He won 4 gold medals in a row. He beat everybody he faced in the amateurs, either the first time in rematches. His 14th fight, he fought Chris Bird, who for a very short period of time was the number 1 guy in the division after Vitaly Klitschko retired. He's got wins against Carlos Takam as well, Duhaupas, who had fought Deontay Wilder, and the likes of Mariusz Wach. He was the first person to ever stop Mariusz Wach and only second person to beat him. Mike Perez, Manuel Charr stopped all them. Rahman, not a very good win because Rahman's age and he wasn't ranked very high at the time. Ruslan Chagayev as well. So yeah, Povetkin's very underrated by people, and unfortunately right now he's banned because of drugs, so a lot of people will be upset they've actually ranked him, but he's a very good heavyweight and I think he should still be ranked in the number 4 position. Number 3 I have Wladimir Klitschko. Wladimir Klitschko obviously ruled the division for 10 years. Good wins are David Haye, Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Povetkin, Samuel Peter, back when Samuel Peter was actually good. And he put up quite a good performance against Anthony Joshua a couple of Saturdays ago. Wladimir, great sense of distance, good skill, very good at setting up punches, quite quick with his feet, obviously great power as well, still very fast in the division. He's getting on a bit. He might not take the rematch with Anthony Joshua, but I've just read some news that makes me think otherwise. I mean, you've been talking with what's his name, Bernie Bonte, his manager. I think I've got that name wrong there. They're talking about a trilogy in private conversations and that, so it sounds like they will have the rematch, so it might not be the end of Wladimir Klitschko yet. Number 2 we have Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, very powerful, 19 wins, 19 KOs. Best wins are Dominic Brazil, Dillian Whyte. Obviously I've got Dillian Whyte in my top 10, so that's a very good win. And Wladimir Klitschko, obviously, a guy that ruled the division for 10 years. And Wladimir Klitschko put in a good performance against Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua showed a lot of heart in that fight, showed he can take a punch well and recover. And he showed ring smarts as well, letting himself recover in the ring a bit. And knowing that he might lose the fight in the 11th, he went for Klitschko, he caught him, and he showed he was a good finisher as well. He's got good hand speed for a big guy, very strong of course as well, throws power punches in combination, very fast, very powerful, and he's obviously blown out a lot of his opponents with them fast, powerful combinations so far. 19 wins, 19 KOs. That's who I have at the number 2 spot right now. Obviously he's a WBA super champion and the WBA, and he has the minor WBO belt as well. So he's a unified champion right now. So who to have as number 1? Well, number 1 is of course Tony Bellew. Obviously he beat the boogeyman out of the division. He showed the speed and grace of Muhammad Ali when he beat David Haye. Nah, I'm only kidding. I've got Tyson Fury as the number 1 in the division. So Tyson Fury is the number 1 in the division. The reason why I still have him above Anthony Joshua, and I was already thinking about this if Wladimir Klitschko or Anthony Joshua won this fight. I have Tyson Fury at number 1 in the division because he beat Wladimir Klitschko first. He beat Wladimir Klitschko in a more impressive fashion as well. I know Anthony Joshua got the knockout. Tyson Fury was the first person to ever outbox Wladimir Klitschko during a fight. And I know Tyson Fury's been out for a while, but it does look like he's training to have a comeback right now. And hopefully that does happen, because it does leave a massive question mark over the division if Tyson Fury does not come back. Everyone's going to be saying, well, can he beat Tyson Fury or not? Of course, the Anthony Joshua fans and a lot of the new boxing fans in the division will be saying, yes, of course, Anthony Joshua can knock out Tyson Fury in a few rounds. But we have to see that first. Tyson Fury does have a lot of things going for him that can cause Anthony Joshua problems. His size, for example, he's got a good sense of distance. He's good at fighting from the outside. He's got great stamina himself. He can fight on the inside. So the only way I'm going to rate Anthony Joshua, for example, above Tyson Fury is if Anthony Joshua surpasses what Tyson Fury did, and he can do that by either beating somebody that's in my top 5. That's how I'm going to view it anyway, or a top 5, or beat Wladimir Klitschko. I'll even settle for beating Wladimir Klitschko in the rematch if that does happen, and it's starting to look like it will happen now. Then I will place Anthony Joshua quite happily above Tyson Fury. But I want Anthony Joshua to surpass what Tyson Fury did, because I think it's kind of cheating Tyson Fury by putting him above him right now. So anyway, I've said why I have Tyson Fury number 1, the good points, the virtues of Tyson Fury, and that is pretty much my top 10. And I'll do another one next year, hopefully, when we have hopefully some more bigger fights and things start to change and we get to see a bit more of these boxers and what they're all about.